TV. I'm your host, Toya, and today is Communion Sunday. And yes, the topic is let them eat cake, and I'm about to show y'all how. Or what I mean, rather. So, I've tried to be more conscious of what I'm doing and what I'm consuming and putting into my body. All right? And the shirt. I got this shirt on because it's already messed up, and I'm about to deal with some chocolate, so I ain't want to mess up my white shirt and take a chance that chocolate won't come out. So, this is why we got Drama Queen on here today, okay? Um, but like I said, I'm trying to be more conscious of what it is that I'm consuming, and what I'm putting in, and to make sure that what I'm eating actually has nutrients and has benefits to it. And so one of the things that I've been craving lately is something sweet. So every time I go to eat something, I'm looking for something something to just satisfy that sweet tooth. But I really don't want to consume the sugar. So before I used to follow a nutritarian diet, which you can look that up, Google it. But one of the things is they basically cook everything with whole foods. So there's no oil, no sugar, no processed flours. They kind of stay away from all of that. And this is a cake that I made before in the past, and it was really delicious. I really liked it, but I want to see if I can make it a little bit better. Because one of the things about the whole food cakes and about just gluten-free stuff, period, is it's heavy. It's very heavy, and it's not as moist. So it's very dense, and it's kind of heavy. So, which is good because that means you don't need a lot of it. You can do a small piece and be satisfied, completely satisfied. But at the same time, you kind of miss the moistness and the softness of a regular cake. So there's a recipe on YouTube under the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show. I have the link below. She did a thin mint cake, okay? Thin mint chocolate cake. And it was really good. I enjoyed it. But like I said, I want to see if I can make it a little bit more moist. And the way I'm going to do that is with aquafaba, which I'll get into in a minute. But the recipe is down below. As far as the video goes, it takes you to the video. The video takes you to the recipe, to their webpage. But just to give you, I don't know if you guys can see this. Let's see. Did you see that? Here, let me turn this off. Come on. Thank you. Okay, so that's what the page looks like, okay? And that's the thin mint chocolate cake that she did. And like I said, it was really good. She made it in 3 layers. And the frosting and all of it is whole foods. These are all foods that are everything that is good for you. So I'm not going to go like listing the recipes because that's not really what this is about today. Today this is about me showing you have another option and also experimenting with how to make it better. Okay, but just to give you a breakdown, it's 1 cup of almond flour, 2 cups of rolled oats, a teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, 1/4 cup of black cocoa powder, 1.5 cups of pitted dates, a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/2 teaspoon of peppermint extract, 3 cups of plant-based milk of your choice, and then for the frosting, 2 cups of cashews soaked for 2 hours, which I'll get more into that, a cup of milk, 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1 tablespoon of black cocoa powder, a teaspoon of vanilla, a teaspoon of peppermint oil, and then 1 cup of pitted dates. Now, a couple of things that, and it's baked at 350 for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to do 20. Okay, so a couple of things that I did do different. One, I ran out of peppermint, the peppermint extract, so I use peppermint oil. That's another thing about nutritarians, they stay away from oil. But I use the peppermint oil because I ran out of extract, so it still gives that peppermint flavor. What else did I do different? Oh, so the dates. So when you pit the dates, sometimes they're a little firm. One of the ways you can soften them up is soaking them. So instead of soaking them in water, what I did was I soaked them in the plant-based milk. Okay, so this is them soaking. But this is for the frosting. The other thing is for your oats, when you take those 2 cups of oats, you want to put them in a blending container so you can blend it up to make it into a powder, which is what I did with this oat flour here. And let's see, I think that's it as far as what I changed. The other thing I wanted to show you is the difference. So this is your normal cocoa powder. Okay, you see that? This is your normal cocoa powder. So if you get Hershey's or Bob's Red Mill or something like that, that's what you're going to get. Okay, this is regular cocoa powder. Now she said black cocoa powder, which is caribou. Caribou is Carob. So however you pronounce that, that's the dark one. So this is what she means by the black. Okay, so you can see, and that's why I left these out because I wanted to show y'all the difference. You can see the difference in the color. Okay, see how this one is lighter than this one? Okay, so that gives you more of that fudgy flavor, that fudgy taste. All right, let me get these out the way. All right, and let's get into it. So I'm gonna mix everything up in here first. So we have our almond flour, our oat flour, the baking powder, and baking soda. Okay, just get that mixed up. So, and this is what I mean when I say they use whole foods. Like everything is a whole food. There's nothing that's not actual food. So it's minimally processed. Okay, so I got that all mixed up. I'm gonna add the cocoa. So this is the dark and the regular. Get that mixed up. You know what? Let me use a whisk because that makes it go quicker. So one of the things about this is because yes, it is cake, but it's a good for you cake. So you end up with lots of fiber because you have the oats and you have the dates. You end up with a lot of protein because you have the almond flour, as well as in this recipe, the way I'm doing, I'm putting the aquafaba in it. So that's going to give it even more protein. In addition to that, you have all the antioxidants of the cocoa powder, okay, especially the both different ones. So you have the antioxidants from that. And then if you're diabetic, you don't really have to worry so much because you have dates instead of actual sugar. Now, if you don't know what aquafaba is, let me move all this stuff out. Okay, if you don't know what aquafaba is the liquid that's left over from the chickpeas, from cooked chickpeas. So when you cook the chickpeas, or you get a can of chickpeas, the liquid that's in there, that's what aquafaba is. And aquafaba can act as almost like an egg white. Okay, so you can do a lot of things that you can do with the egg white, you can do with this. Except for you can also do stuff more, like stuff that you would do like a cream. Like if you wanted to make a whipped cream, you can use the aquafaba for that. So it really, like I said, it's a good egg substitute or a good cream substitute, depending on what it is you're using it for. I've seen people use it to make the macaroons, I think is what it's called. The meringue cookies, regular cookies, like different things that people use to make with the aquafaba. And that's what this is here. Okay? So I know it looks kind of weird and watery, but you'll see once I get it blended up. And I'm using the clear bowl because I wanted y'all to see. Because you're like, why you got your KitchenAid here? You ain't using it. Well, that's why. The other thing is, too, is with the plant-based milk, I make my own. Okay? So this is hemp seed milk. So that's going to give you additional benefits as well as extra protein. Okay? And I believe it's 3 cups. Let me make sure. Yep, 3 cups. So I need to put 3 cups of this in here. But yeah, so that's what aquafaba is and how people usually use it. So this is the downside about a manufactured home is you don't really have enough space for stuff. Okay? Let me set this down. It's not a lot of counter space. So if you ever thought about getting a manufactured home, just keep that in mind. Yeah, this is too much. I'm not using this. I'm going to use my blender. I don't know why I thought I could use that, but I thought I could get away with that. But I'm going to use my blender. Yeah, so if you ever thought about getting a manufactured home, just keep that in mind. Storage and counter space is difficult at times. Okay? And I need 3 cups of hemp seed milk. Now, the way I make the hemp seed milk is basically it's about a cup of whatever it is, whatever kind of plant-based milk you're using. So hemps, cashews, almonds, whatever it is you're using, you want about a cup of that, and then about 3 to 4 cups of water. All right, so for this, I'm just gonna get this blended up. Okay, so this is all blended. As you can see, and this is basically sweetened milk. That's pretty much what you're doing with the dates. You're using dates instead of the sugar to get it sweet. I'm just trying to get as much of it out as I can so we can pour the rest in here. Oh, just so you can see what it looked like. Okay? So we're going to get that poured in. If you don't have a high-speed blender, that's okay. Just soak your dates. And again, you can soak them in the milk so they soften up, and it should be easier for you to blend. And if you can't get all the chunks out, and some of them ended up being in here, that's fine, because this is just a cake. It's not the frosting where you need it super, super, super smooth. And since I'm going to use this for the frosting as well, I'm not going to stress about getting it absolutely clean, because it's pretty much the same stuff that goes into the frosting, along with something additional. So we'll put this to the side. Okay, so I'm just gonna get this mixed up. But like I said, as you can see, it's not much ingredients in here. Like, you're not using the white flour, you're not using processed sugar, so it's going to make you feel better. You're not going to feel so weighed down and sickly. Like me, a lot of times I get congested from sugar, from eggs, from meat. I get really bad congestion. And don't go saying, well, Toya, you a vegan. I never said I was vegan. My diet is probably about 90-95% vegan. Not 100%. All right. But I do try to get my fruits and vegetables in every day. I'm not really a big sweets person, but sometimes I get into it where I do want something sweet. And lately, that's what it's been like. But that could also do to stress, because it's been a little stressful lately. So that's probably what it is. Okay, so this cake is ready to go. So you could take it like this and bake it, but like I said, it ends up being very dense because it is thick. It ends up being dense and heavy. So I want to use some aquafaba, which again is the chickpea water. So I'm going to we'll do a quarter of a cup. Okay. Now, if you were making something like whipped cream, oh, I forgot the vanilla. Okay, so here's the vanilla and the peppermint oil. I forgot to add that. Y'all, that's the flavor. We need the flavor. Okay, so I'm going to get that blended in. Okay, so with the aquafaba, I'm going to get it whipped up, which is why y'all see this KitchenAid, because I'm not trying to whip that long. But I'm going to get this whipped up, and then I'm going to show y'all what it look like. All right, we're done with the aquafaba. Now, like I said before, this is like egg whites, okay, when you're using it. So you can do a stiff peak, soft peak, just get it fluffy, whichever one. And the way you do know the peak is you see this when you put this in here, if it curls up, you see how it pucks up and it stays? That's a stiff peak, okay? And make sure you're using the right tools, y'all, because this is my second batch. Because originally, I was using this. And now I realize, like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Oh, man, I got the wrong thing on here. So use the right tools, y'all. Don't be like me. Use the right tools. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold this into here. So you want to be careful not to get too much of the bubbles out. I probably should have used more. But we just going to see if this works. Because I'll be able to tell if there's a little bit of a difference. If there's no difference, then ain't no need in me doing this again. But we'll see. But you just basically just fold this in. And like again, I said, I'm trying to do this to see if it's going to make it lighter and fluffier. So again, you just fold it in. And I can already tell, like, the batter is different. It's not as, it's foaming up, like. Let me come in where y'all can see. So y'all can see. I try not to move this too much because, y'all, the tripod that this is on is kind of, it doesn't stick anymore because the screw part of it is stripped. Yep. So all that white that you see, that aquafaba, is actually going to be adding protein. And some of the other benefits that you get out of chickpeas will be added in this. Because that's, again, the water that the chickpeas were cooked in. Or the liquid from the can. Alright, that should be good. Alright, so we're going to get them in there. Now, that's the other thing I wanted to mention. I knew it was something else I was going to tell y'all. So, this isn't 100% gluten-free. Only because the cake pans. I did use some cake flour on the cake pans. Now, for the cake pans, you can use parchment paper or a flour of your choice. I use cake flour because I'm not gluten intolerant. I'm just trying to watch what I do. Now, she did it in 3 layers. I'm only doing 2. And I have some 9-inch pans here because I don't know what happened to my 8-inch ones. I don't know if my son got them when he moved or what. I don't know. So, this just happened to be one that my dad gave me. And it was funny, too, because when he went to give it to me, I'm like, I don't need it. I don't need it. Yeah, it turns out I do need it. So when your parents try to give you stuff out of their house that they don't need, y'all better take it and be grateful, because some people don't have parents that give them stuff. So the cake saver as well that I'm going to be using is going to be part of what my father gave me as well. So this actually goes along with the thin mint because it's going to be thin. That's the other thing about this is as well is when you're making it like this, it doesn't rise very much. Okay, when you're using whole foods, it doesn't rise very much. So if you're expecting this to double in size, it's not going to. Okay, now how much is going to double because I use the aquafaba, I don't know. So we're going to see that part as well, like how much it rises. Y'all, I can taste the mint in that. That's the other thing too, when you're using whole foods and stuff like this, you don't have to worry about contamination. So some people worry about contamination as far as, you know, like the egg whites and stuff. Oh, that's what's wrong. I'm like, why can't I see? Okay, I had to adjust the camera back because I'm like, why y'all can't see me? So this is the blender I had. I'm crooked now. The blender I had the dates and the, what do we have? What do we make? The dates and the milk. The milk in. So now I'm going to do the frosting. Because what's a cake without frosting, right? So again, even the frosting is going to be good. It's going to have these cashews in it, which is going to give you protein. Cashews are, if you can't get cashews, you can try macadamia nuts. Those are the ones that cream up. Okay, so here we have our dates, which again, the dates sweetened. And then we have the milk. Oop, let me start the timer. We have the milk. The hemp milk. There's the cacao and the herbo, however you say it. And then that's the peppermint and the vanilla. And we're going to get this blended up. Now this might take some time and some try because this is frosting. It's going to be thick. So again, if you don't have a high-powered blender like this, don't worry about it. Just soak your stuff. Make sure you soak it really well and it's nice and soft. And then you're just going to play around with it because it's going to take a minute. this, okay? You have to work with it. This is what it looks like so far. Because again, these are cashews, these are dates. So you see that? And that's what the inside, if y'all can smell the mint in this. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing this. So from here, I am going to edit this part out. But I wanted y'all to see that you do have to work with it. You do have to play around with it. It's not going to just happen like willy-nilly like that. Because again, we're using real food. Alright, so I'll be right back. Alright, so we are back. I finished. And as you can see, look how creamy that is. Bit of focus. See how creamy that is? Alright, so this is going to be our frosting. I'm just going to put it back in this container that I had the milk in it. And then I'm going to put this in the refrigerator so it can chill while we wait on the cake to get done. Now, is it necessary to have it chill? Just depends. But that's what I'm doing. You probably don't have to, especially since you're going to be putting it on a warm cake. But that's what I'm doing. Look at all that frosting. Y'all see this? And then if you have any of this left over, you can use this on other stuff too. Like you can make some brownies. A quick and simple brownie recipe is just walnuts and dates. Just some walnuts and some dates. You can mix that up together. It ends up being like brownie. You put it in the pan. You don't have to bake because it's a raw food brownie. And remember, raw food is just, it's not that it's raw, like raw meat or anything like that. It's just unprocessed, uncooked food. Y'all see how much this makes? If y'all can find it or you can afford to get it, I do recommend you get a Vitamix. I've never regretted spending that kind of money on it. I got my hand all covered in frosting too. But see? But it is delicious. But look at that. So that's it. We're gonna come back once the cake is done. We're gonna frost it up. Like I said, once the cake is done, we're gonna frost it up. And then we're gonna take a bite. So I'll be back once that's done. Okay. Welcome back. Don't laugh at my cakes, okay? Because a couple of things to keep in mind. One, I used 9-inch pans and they should have been 8-inch, so they should be actually probably about twice as thick as it is. The other thing is too is this was a thin mint recipe, so you can always double it, do whatever you want to make it thicker, but this is how it came out. So, and I will say that the aquafaba did make a difference because it's softer than it normally is. Okay, but remember this is thin mint, so it's supposed to be thin. But anyway, so our frosting is ready. I'm just going to frost this up because the cakes have cooled, they baked, they cooled. And now we get to frost it and then we get to taste it. So like I was saying before, this cake pan is the cake saver is one of the ones that my dad gave me. And I said, I don't need it, but it's a better one than what I had. So sometimes we just gotta go in and just take what our parents offer us because they offer it for a reason. All right, now it is a little different to work with. Trying to make sure it don't break. All right. You know, sometimes this frosting though surprises me because it don't taste like cashews. So it sometimes surprises me, catches me off guard, like, oh yeah, this is a healthy frosting. Now, does it taste exactly like a regular sugared frosting? No. But it is like a, kind of like moussey, like a mousse. And then the other thing I want to mention too is when you're doing this, you are going to have to keep this in the refrigerator because you don't want it to spoil and mold and go bad. So you want to keep it in the refrigerator. So keep that in mind as well. Kind of why I started to do a 4-inch, but I mean not a 4-inch, but what they call that? The flat one, the 13 by 9. That's what I started to do. But I said we making a cake, so I'm gonna make a cake to see. But I'm gonna tell y'all already, this looks a lot better and seems a lot better than without the aquafaba. And when I say better, I'm talking about texture, not taste, because the taste was already good. She does really good with her desserts. So too, if you look at the plant-based whole foods cooking show, she does really well with her desserts. I love, like, most of the desserts that I've made that she's done has come out really good. So she's really good about making the good for you desserts. Food wise, yeah. Yeah, I usually play around with her recipes for the food. Like, I just take it for the ideal, and then I go back and I do my own thing. Okay, so that's our cake. And like I said, this frosting, you can make some brownies and put it on there. But that's the cake, see? Look like a real cake, right? Real bad for you cake, just a little thinner, that's it. Alright. So, let's get this cut. Oh, I need a fork too. So, I've been wanting to make this for a while. I just haven't. But now we will. Okay, look at that. See? Bring it in. That's cake for you, cake. It's probably too much, but you're going to see. So, I'm really going for it. Like, I already know how the taste is because, like I said, I liked this cake before, so that's why I made it again. I'm really trying to see if the texture is any different than when I made it before. To see if it's softer. And I can already tell just by putting that fork in, it's softer. So, I probably should have used more aquafaba. It really probably would have really moistened this up. But this is not nowhere as near dense as it was before. Even the good for you Twinkies I made, this is softer than that. So that's what I'm gonna start doing from now on. I'm gonna make these recipes the way they call for them, but then I'm adding some aquafaba to it. And like I said, you just whip it up. Just make sure you use the right utensil, and you don't do like I did and use the wrong one and sit there like, what's going on? Make sure you use the right one. But it's nice. It's chocolatey. The cake is soft. That mint hits you. It's good, y'all. Oh, good. If it was nasty, I would tell y'all. Because I did an artichoke yesterday. Not an artichoke. Acorn squash. So I've done acorn squash for you guys before, except for I think what I did was I did the dressing with it. Acorn squash stuffed with dressing is delicious. It is the bomb. Last night I did it with rice. The rice tastes good by itself. The acorn squash tastes like acorn squash, so it's good by itself too. But put them two together, I did not like it. It was not good. But this is good. And like I said, the aquafaba really softened it up, so it's not as dense or as dry. So that's it for today. I hope y'all enjoyed it and got something out of it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to you tomorrow. But this was good.